Weights, a cracking contest topping the undercard between the local lad from Hartlepool, Dave Garside, and from Birmingham, the Midlands area champion, Al Malcolm. It's scheduled for 8 rounds. What a fight it turns out to be.
So the local now, David Garside, and Al Malcolm has been around with the best of them and has now joined the Pat Lynch stable in Birmingham. And really, Al Malcolm, you know, he's the sort of fellow that goes the distance for most people. But he's lost to Garside in '84 and was down twice. But I think in the opening round, he's almost did a Bruno Bugner there, the way he caught him on the ropes, Jim.
Well, he caught him right at the beginning of the round, Reg, and he caught him with another solid right hand, and it certainly shook him up. We better start getting up now, I think. Yep, that definitely shook him up. He looks as though he's recovered, but those were 2 good punches bang on the chin, and that's the same right hand, just missed his whisker.
Well, the Lynch brothers have been saying they think they might have sparked Malcolm up a bit, and he's 29. He's certainly unloaded some good punches here. Oh, that right hand really plants home there. He's a bit useful puncher when he wants to be, Malcolm. He knocked out the German Tommy Klassen. A very useful fighter, and he looks as though he's going to do it to Garside. Man who boxed Horace Notice in the ABA semi-finals in '82, Garside. But he's been up and down in all aspects of his career, really. Well, he's soaked up a few now, Jim, so he'll do well to get over the round now. I think he's trying to pull it together again, Garside.
Well, he should just think about surviving the round, because he's obviously lost it. He's taken too many, he's been on the floor, he's lost the round. So it'd be silly to take chances now, trying to get back into it again. Let him just survive this round, get his head cleared, and let him start his action at the beginning of the second round. But his defence is looking a little bit loose, and Malcolm's still looking for him with big ones.
And a minute to go then in the opening round. I don't think the shocks are entirely over now for Garside, because he's been around a bit, 23 wins and 10 lost. Oh, the locals like that when Garside started to box a bit and stuck the left hand out. And he's getting all the encouragement he needs anyway. So the countdown then to the end of the first, and it looks as though Garside now has got over the worst, at least for the time being. But with heavyweights, you never know. One punch changes the whole pattern of a contest. There's the Londoner, Denny Mancini, who runs a sports shop just off Carnaby Street there with his man Garside. And Jim, now we see this knockdown.
Well, I think the damage was actually done just before the knockdown, because there's a couple of good right hands landed bang on the chin. See, there wasn't really too many real clean punches, as I say. I think the damage was done before the actual knockdown.
So Pat Lynch looking a little bit happy with his man, as well he may there, Malcolm. He's another one who's had more losses than wins on his record, but always been a dangerous opponent. Was area champion in '83. Into the second round. Oh, what a left hook. Missed with the right hand, pulled the left hook over and just unbuckled him at the knees. Totally unhinged there, Garside, and cut around the cheek.
That was a case of a leaky defence there, Reggie. He swayed away from the first punch and left his chin hanging there, and Malcolm caught him with the second one, and he just caught him again with another punch.
Yeah, I think he's going to be lucky to get over this now, because he's full of power and running now. He's really going on a high, Al Malcolm.
I think one of Malcolm's troubles, he doesn't seem able to sustain a pace for any length of time. He has a go for maybe a minute or so, then drops the pace. This happened in the first round. We'll see if he's able to maintain the pace in the second round here.
Well, there he's coming back now, Garside. As you say, Jim, he suddenly decided he'd thrown enough at that point, and Garside just tried to take a little bit of play away from him.
Garside's been on the floor in each round, so he's looking for some big success now. Really, he's going to have to drive himself forward here now.
Well, he'll be pumped up, of course, by his local support. That just puts that little bit of extra heart into a fighter. Oh, oohs and ahs from the back of the hall. There always are when those uppercuts come in and the head goes back. Referee Arnold Bryson making sure that they're watching their heads, as they say, not using them unfairly. Well, they're not hanging around in there, Jim, that's for sure.
No, it's been a good heavyweight battle, not like some we've seen recently, but this is a real good match. They're both going at it.
Well, hasn't he done well here, Garside? As you say, Malcolm seems as though he wants to fight in, well, little bursts. But they're dangerous enough when he does. Oh, he's rocking Garside's head all over the place. He's not trying to roll away from him at all. He's so intent on getting stuck in. So we can see this, the next knockdown, Jim.
Well, he seemed to slip the first lead, but left his head hanging. See, bang, there it goes. Didn't get the defences up quick enough, and Malcolm caught him with the second shot. But again, he recovered well. He has a good chin.
And we're into the fourth round of a very hard heavyweight scrap, with the local favourite getting obviously all the cheers they can manage after, well, looking a bit of a loser early on. He's come back into the fight. And he's boxing well, Dave Garside, now. In an ABA final, Jim, at 18 years old. He lost to Adrian Elliott, who used to be in your stable.
Well, there's Malcolm, dangerous again in the first minute. He's just caught Garside with a couple of good punches bang on the chin. Don't seem to have shaken him too much, but Garside doesn't seem to be learning to watch out for him in the first half minute or so.
One thing about Garside, even at 5 of his winning fights, I think he's actually taken a count before he's won. It's a bit livens him up, of all things. What a hard slog this. And twice on the turn, he got through almost 3 times there, not quite with that one, with the uppercuts. Changed a bit now, didn't they both want to stand close up like this?
Well, it's been a cracking pace from the first bell, so we had to expect it to slow down a little bit, but thankfully they're not clinching, they're still punching, there's still a bit of action. It's just not as fierce as it was in the earlier 3 rounds.
Well, Malcolm's got a reputation as a bit of a distance fighter, I must say. He looked as though he was really going to do it in the early rounds, and now he's not hanging on by all means. He's standing there and fighting back all the time, but not with the same vigour at the start of most rounds.
Going over there, Malcolm, but it's at the end of the round. Repeated right hand after right hand there, and he had to go. The referee has got to count. The bell's gone, but the referee has got to count. A corner is saying get up, because if he gets up, he automatically goes back to the corner, and he can there. That's perfectly in order. The referee did the right thing, counted after the bell, and now they can see if they can revive Malcolm there. They've almost got the garden spray there. The only man to stop Malcolm is Gary Mason. Let's have a look at this.
That was a cracking right-hand punch. That's exactly what Garside needed. He got himself back into the fight. There it was. That was the one that did all the damage. From that point on, Malcolm's legs were wobbly. He didn't really take another full-blooded shot, but he never got a chance to recover from that one. And eventually, I think he went over just because it was the only safe place to be. There was no more big punches landed, but that first one was a cracker.
There's the former lightweight champion there, George Feeney, on the outside of the ropes. And Tony Mancini just having to give him the instant first aid there. Well, Denny, but his real name is Tony, actually. Round 7. And it looked big odds, Jim, early on that it wouldn't go the distance. Now there's a chance it could actually go to the 8th round.
Yeah, well, they've both taken their opponent's best shots, but here Malcolm again dangerous in the first half minute of the round. Garside come back with a good punch of his own, but he's taken about 3 or 4 good ones. You think he would tighten up a little bit when you think of the trouble he's going to come into it in the first half minute of a few of the rounds.
Calls there from Garside's corner, hands up, get behind the jab, lead the left hand first. Referee Bryson does well to keep away from him here, keeps telling him get on working, means throwing punches. And they're not really holding much, Jim. It's surprising, isn't it, they've done that?
Yep, they've been up close all the way through, but not too many clinches. Obviously got to expect a few, but they've been punching. Garside seems to have the idea now not to worry too much about power, just to keep the work rate going and steal the rounds. I would say at this stage Malcolm is the one who needs a knockout. He's had too many lazy rounds.
Minute to go in the 7th, and if the pace is dropping, well, that's certainly understandable. Certainly the power of punch hasn't dropped at all. Oh, and there you are, you've got all the alls to go with it, and it looks as though the left eye's worsened a bit, Jim, doesn't it, off Garside?
Yep, there's a bit more blood, but thankfully the injury is below the eye, so I don't think it should cause a stoppage. But every now and again Malcolm just finds enough power to throw up some dangerous looking punches.
I think he may have another cut, a second cut just below the eye now. Referee saying, come on, let's see you go. And that's what professional referees have to do in this game, is to encourage them. And boxers do respond to that. Yeah, there's just another little nick, I thought, Jim, around the left eye. Apart from the cheek, he just got it in the corner there. But Denny Mancini, of course, is experienced enough to take care of that with only a round to go. And we're into the 8th and the last round of what's been a really hard heavyweight scrap here. Al Malcolm of Birmingham, Dave Garside of Hartlepool. Garside on the deck at the start, looking, well, very much like the loser. And then he's really come back in style, and as Jim Watt was saying, Malcolm had a few lazy rounds. But referee Bryson's handled it well. It doesn't need a lot of handling a good fight like this, but he's done it well and encouraged them. And now he's got the job of coming up with a winner. They really haven't tried to baffle each other with science at all. They've just stood there and traded. And Malcolm, Jim, looks as though he's going to have a final fling in the way that he started this fight.
Well, I think he badly needs a final fling. I don't think he can expect to be ahead in points. He's the one who needs the knockout, and he's certainly going for it now. The thing in the past, he doesn't normally manage to keep this pace going for much longer than half a minute or so. So if Garside can weather this storm, then he maybe start taking control again. We'll see.
You see Garside now just getting close and smother a little bit and get the round over with. He doesn't want to be at the end of those swipes coming in. There it is. I'm wondering if that little burst of punches now from Malcolm is over. And he's been taking too many rests between throwing punches, Jim, hasn't he?
Well, this is typical of Malcolm. He doesn't seem to have enough stamina to set a pace and keep that pace going. I don't know why that should be.
Well, they've almost punched themselves to a standstill now, as you would expect. And it really has been a hard slog with half a minute. So it's going to finish as it started, then standing in close and throwing fairly hard punches. And the winner is Garside. He gave his hand to the referee, who didn't disagree. And a really good comeback in that contest then by Garside. And rightly gets the congratulations and a sponging down from manager.
Well, I thought the margin was more than 1 round, but the referee made it Garside by 1 round. He did far more work. Anyway, it was a good contest. We've got an even better one coming up for you after we take a short break. A real war that had this big crowd on its feet. You can see how it goes in just a few moments. Tremendous atmosphere in these northeast boxing halls, and the welterweight contest really had them on their feet even by their standards. It's scheduled for 6 2-minute rounds, featuring a local lad from Sunderland, David Moore, who we've already highlighted in this Fight Night series as a prospect to watch out for. He's up against the veteran Jeff Decker from Whitley Bay. Here are the highlights of a tremendous fight.
Round 3. I tell you, what a ding-dong of a fight this one is. Jeff Decker would have been looking for something a bit easier than this, with a boxer who's had 3 wins, a loss and a draw.
Well, Moss started this round with a cracking right hand, and it's shaken Decker up a little bit. I think the difference between them is the fact that Mo is that little bit fresher. He seems to spring back from some hard action quicker than Decker can.
Well, I haven't got time for tactics, Jim. It's the old stuck-in bit here.
Yep, as they say, never a dull moment. Mo's beginning to knock Decker's head back with some of these lead punches. But as I say, it just looks that little bit fresher than Decker. Decker looks a little bit more flat-footed, and he's been caught with some of these good left-hand leads from Mo.
Well, the referee's staying well away from it. There's no need to interfere at all with this fight. He can sit out and read his programme because they're really getting on with it. He's not even having to call break loudly either. Jerry Watson. What a pace this, Jim. I mean, and we're into the 5th round of a very fast welterweight contest scheduled for 6. And Jeff Decker in the blue trunks, the veteran at 29, has found David Moore of Sunderland a real handful and fit as anything, and come at him from the 1st round. So the old head now trying to recover some lost points early on, and having suffered a cut around the left eye, but he's done pretty well. Well, it looks as though the corner orders for Moore has been keep him on the end of the left hand, don't you think?
Yeah, he's for the last couple of rounds he's been trying to back off a little bit, use his boxing ability. Moore's a good little prospect, but he still has a few things to learn. He makes some mistakes, particularly when he leads with the right hand. He normally gets caught with counter punches every time he leads with the right. But he's kept Decker under enough pressure just to keep edging the rounds. I see Mo's cut now, Reg.
Yeah, he's cut on the right eye now. But with only a round and a half to go, he should be okay. Depending, of course, on the severity of it, what the referee wants to do. What a pace these two have set as we come up to the end of the 5th. And if this is the grassroots of boxing, well, you can see even at this level it could be a hard game, and you've got to be fit to compete. Well, he deserves all that water for coming out for the last round to just revive him a little bit. Jim, have a look at this replay.
Well, this has been typical of the action all the way through. Close fought, tremendous pace all the way. Mo just getting the edge in this exchange, but that was quite a close little round. I think Decker came back quite well during that round and showed some of the old pro tricks that he knows.
And there's that nasty little nick there around David Moore's right eye. And Tommy Conroy having to work on that.
Second out, 6th and final round.
So 6 and the final round, and what a pace they've set then. David Moore and Jeff Decker. Have you still got more ahead, Jim?
Yeah, well, I think it's all the rounds have been tight, very, very close, very difficult to score. But I've always felt that Mo's work rate has maybe just edged him slightly in front. But he's never had it his own way at any time. But it's not one of these fights I would like to put my house on. because every round has been close, hard fought, but I would just tilt it towards Moore.
Well, the old-fashioned nobbins throwing what used to be coins in the ring, and now we've got pound coins now. I think these lads would deserve it, and I hope they do get some. They really haven't needed the crowd to spur them on. I think they'd have done it in a silent hall, these two. They've been really made for each other in terms of style and willingness.
Well, young David's really fired up in front of his home fans, but I think if he wants a long career, he's going to have to settle down, think a bit more about boxing, because when he backs off, he can box. He doesn't have to take so many of the chances he does take. Although this is good action from him, just as I'm speaking. But he has a bit of talent, and he could use it a little bit more than he does, instead of getting involved in wars too often.
See, now he's cut over both eyes now, David Moore, but the referee's not closing in on him yet.
Well, Moore was wobbled there by a good punch, but he has plenty of grip, plenty of courage. He can fire him back, and he's just shaking Decker with a counter punch. This is a tremendous battle we're having here.
And they're standing on their toes, the crowd there. Even the boxing board officials are applauding, which I must say is a rare sight for me to have seen as we come up to the final bell. Maybe he'll give a draw. No, David Moore has won it. I don't think anybody will argue with that, but it was such a spirited contest, and Decker put up such a good show. Well, you have to give it as the points say, but no doubt a draw would have been very popular, but nobody could argue here that David Moore overcame the handicap of a couple of cuts and then won on points.
Well, what a cracking fight that was. Moore, in the end, a clear winner. What a cracking night it's been. We've got another one lined up for you. 3 weeks to